I've been playing some tanks again lately, and then Wargaming reached out to me to sponsor today's video, which is perfect timing because I was already playing it anyway, and getting a press account with everything unlocked to kind of just review things that I haven't touched already is definitely a nice thing. Today we are going to be playing out the Leopard one. I think some of you guys already know what this tank is like. Lightly armored, good gun, bit of a sniper. Overall, you should be somewhat familiar with it, but because today's video is actually sponsored, I'm also able to give some stuff to you guys, whether you are a new player or an already existing one. If you use promo code COMBAT, you will get a few goodies. Now, if you are a new player, it's slightly different to if you already have an account. However, new players will get the Cromwell B. It's a tier 6 British premium tank, 250,000 credits, 7 days of premium. Then you also get 3 rentals for 10 battles each. It's the Tiger 131, the T78, as well as the Type 64. Now I will add some pictures on the screen because I actually didn't receive them. I wanted to make a video about the rental tanks. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. So we are going to be playing out something that we are maybe somewhat familiar with, the Leopard 1. But if you are an existing player, you will get a different pack. So it's either 3 days of premium, you get a Camoflage, and you get a 7-day rental premium of the Centurion Mk 1 RAAC O. Now that's quite a mouthful, and if you already have this tank, you will get 100k credits. All this is very great, but what about the gameplay? We have the Leopard 1, and we are going to be playing it out a little bit differently today because my mouse is absolutely busted up and I couldn't scroll in, I couldn't zoom properly. So we are going to be role-playing basically as an actual tank commander, because you can see that my zoom right now, or my visibility and awareness because of that, are going to be severely limited. Now it's of course quote-unquote a little bit more realistic because you aren't able to look around corners and stuff like that. So if you want to play this as a bit of a purist, so to speak, you can definitely do it. This game isn't as restrictive, it's very much casual, and that makes it a lot more fun to the casual player. Because you don't have to know every weak spot, you don't have to know every position of the map, because you don't get blown up instantly if you peek a little bit wrong once. We crash the hill here, we are unspotted, wait for the aiming to settle in, we get spotted, so we kind of retreat. We're gonna wait to reload, but we're not gonna instantly re-peek, because I'm kind of trying to make them think that we are not going to be peeking it here again, because it is a little bit risky, because they now know that we're here. We're going to try to re-peek, and the second I'm about to get the shot, we notice on the minimap that someone spots on the left hand side. He spots us, we spot him, we now know that he's there, and he's kind of going to limit our ability to peek that hill, because he's probably going to flank us. Artillery in the background is taking care of him, but it's more of like suppressing him. He's not really killing him right now, so we are going to try to help him out and make sure that we clean this flank, because if we have this flank contested, then we can't really do what we want to do. He's probably speaking Chinese in those trees, so I'm just gonna back off. It's not worth contesting that. But it also means that we now have the ability to kind of sit behind this bunker again, so that we can actually shoot at the rest of the team. Because I'm not just gonna sit here and kind of fiddle with my thumbs. I need to get stuff done if I want to win this game. I haven't peeked over this hill in a while. This absolute mountain for our Dutch fellows. So I'm just kind of hoping that they aren't looking here. Shoot this guy in the side. Now I'm gonna back off. I'm thinking about getting another shot in, because of course the inaccuracy of just being on the move. But I'm not gonna risk it. He's looking at me, and God knows who else is looking at me. So I'm just gonna wait here for a little bit. And this guy pops on over. He gives me an angle by being parallel to this absolute mountain, and gives me a free shot. Now I can't really re-peek it, but I'm gonna be a little bit on the left, see if I can get some sneaky damage in. Manage to see this guy, and just as I push out, the guy on my left sees me, and we take a shot. Now we have done quite a decent chunk of damage, and we've only been hit once, so definitely a positive trade. But I do want to be careful, because especially late game, if you have no health at all, you're just gonna get clapped. If it's like 3v1 and you are a one shot, it's always over. Whereas if it's a 3v1 and you have like 60% health with a little bit of good play, and most importantly a little bit of luck, you can maybe clutch it out. And right now it looks like we are actually ahead. However, the enemy team has a lot more health than us. So even though we might have more numbers, and this trend will continue for a little bit here, it looks like we are in a very advantageous position, and having more people is definitely welcome. However, if everyone is a one shot and we all need to hit them 3 times, it might not be as much in our favor as you might think it is. But of course, having numbers, angles and more damage is always welcome. You just need to be careful that you don't end up throwing the game. Now we position around the map. Luckily they aren't that big. There's an E100 coming around the corner, so I pre-aim it. I go stationary for a little bit. We get a shot in on the lower plate. Try to back off before he's able to trim his gun on us and actually stabilize his gun. Unfortunately, we take a very hard hit, which is over 25% of our total health. We only have 1850, and that was like 577 damage. So that's very nasty. I need to be careful that I don't drop at a very low health pool. Because as I said, in the end of the game here, if they have a lot of health, high health tanks, even though we have more tanks, we might still get absolutely rocked. Because they just end up having double the health. And we don't have double the DPS unless we have like double the tanks. Makes sense, right? So right now, of course, Urban, no, there's a guy there. We ricochet way too steep of an angle. Not sure why I even tried to shoot that. I'm gonna reload. I'm gonna try to see if I can maybe get another shot off. But again, because I can't zoom out, looking around corners here is a little bit janky. Managed to get one shot in. 350 damage on the E100, which is perfect. But now I don't really want to repeat that. Because he is definitely looking at us. And if I take another shot like the one I just got, I'm gonna be on 25% health or perhaps even lower. But we can't re-peek it anyway because there's an AMX 50 on the 0 line. And I thought he was gonna push between the buildings. But he's just gonna keep pressure on our teammates on the right there. So I can sit here all day long. Another teammate pops up directly in front of me. He's also gonna fly. He's also gonna drive towards the AMX over there. So I'm just gonna leave him to his own devices. It's like 3v1. And as you can tell, in the long term, their health pool has finally dwindled a little bit. And now we have more tanks, but we also have more health. So it's looking a lot better. And this is why having more people alive can be beneficial if you play it right. Of course, not just us, our team in itself is also playing this right. Because you have a little bit more DPS. And the DPS in this case was actually high enough to offset their health advantage. I'm gonna try to pre-aim this guy, but he's behind the trees. I can't really get a shot there. I thought he was closer. I don't know these maps all too well just yet. I haven't been playing that much yet. We're getting better, but of course these things take time as there is just so many maps and vehicles to keep track of. E100 is not looking at us, so we roll around the corner, shoot him in the side, and then there's a second guy sitting over there. Now he's also being pushed by the other guy, so I'm trying to get his attention, try to get the shot, but he actually pushes forward, but he's gonna push directly in our BZ. He instantly dies, and then I'm gonna try to help out our teammate over there, who is also a one-shot just like me. We get around the corner, we get some damage in on the char. I'm not gonna repeat that because he's going to absolutely blast me, so I'm gonna try to kind of go around. Don't have to worry about the mouse behind us because he just got clapped by a teammate. But you can tell that guy is essentially a one-shot, the other guy is essentially a one-shot. We are maybe a two-shot if we are lucky. But overall, this team can crumble very quickly. But then the BZ comes around, the 72, and he is essentially full health. Now he might scare this guy a little bit. I'm trying to peek around the corner, but before we get the shot off, he gets absolutely shafted, and he ends up blowing up. At this point the game is over. This guy has to look at like 3 people at once, and even though he's full health, when you are getting swarmed, there is really no way to look at everyone at once, and you just end up getting picked apart essentially. And I ripped on the indirect artillery for a little bit. Yeah, if you're sitting still, that stuff absolutely slaps. He got hit by about 950 damage. And then the last guy here, I mean, it's an artillery unit. He's not gonna get anything done when everyone is moving around like that. So we just kind of rock up and one-shot him. And as you saw, we won by about 4,000 damage, which coincidentally is also about the damage that we ended up doing. Now, I'm not gonna pretend and sit here like we won on our own, but these margins are pretty fine, and you really need to be careful with how you use your health as a resource, because that's how you have to see it. Just like ammo or fuel like in the other game, all of these things are resources that you have to manage, and that's what this game is about. The Leopard is a fantastic sniper and of course doesn't work well on every map. But this time around it ended up working quite well. If you want to use the same loadout, we have the improved ventilation, we have vertical stabilization, and we have the gun rammer. That sounds kind of... I'm not allowed to say it, but you can use your imagination here. We have large repair kit, the large first aid kit, and chocolate. I mean, this is pretty standard. We don't run the most amount of gold ammo, only 10 of them, and the other one is simply the DM23. And that's really all I have for you today. Make sure to use my code COMBAT down below for the Cromwell 250k 7 days of premium, the Tiger 131, the T78, the Type 64, and for existing players the 3 days of premium, the camo, the 7 days rental of the Centurion, and 100k credits if you already have the tank. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, thank you Wargaming for sponsoring, and you'll see me in the next one.